This is the Northwood Report on ESPN WestPalm.com, taking you through everything that is Seahawks sports. Now, here's Jeremy Marks-Peltz.
And it is another exciting edition of the Northwood Report, ESPN WestPalm.com. We do it monthly. JMP, Jeremy Marks-Peltz, the voice of Northwood men's basketball, along with the guy that knows everything about Northwood sports. He's sports information director. He's the Swiss Army knife. He is the most knowledgeable Northwood Seahawk aficionado, Kendrick, Kendrick86 on Twitter. JMP1063 is how you can follow me. NU Seahawks, of course, for Northwood Athletics. What's going on, Chris?
Oh, not too much, Jeremy. It's great to be back here recording another Northwood Report, and personally, I'm getting a little excited for the playoffs this weekend, and we get some exciting basketball going on this weekend. But a little Peyton Manning, Tom Brady action is always a good way to start the week.
Yeah, we can spend a second on that because we are taping on a Friday. So if you listen to it this weekend, you've got the Patriots and you've got the Broncos, and I got to imagine this is when you are the most excited to be a Patriots fan because you would love nothing more than to just add another L to the playoff record, the less than sterling playoff record to the alleged greatest quarterback of all time, Peyton Manning. I say that a little sarcastically.
Yeah, there's some things that I love in life, and one of them is watching Peyton Manning lose. It's great. He always has that Peyton Manning look on his face, and then he starts chucking people under the bus that his linemen didn't block well enough, someone didn't run the right route. But that's typical Peyton Manning. I mean, so I'm always looking forward to it. This could be the last big-time matchup between Brady and Peyton, especially in the playoffs. Tom Brady 2-1 against Peyton in the AFC Championship. So I'm always confident in this. And now going to Denver, it's going to be a little different than the past games with him being in a Colts uniform. But after the way they played earlier this year, they got to have a little confidence heading into Denver.
So you're predicting a win?
Yeah, I'm definitely confident in the Patriots. We saw a whole different ground game. I mean, watching last week's game was incredible. It's a different team than I've seen. Like, I always dream of having Randy Moss back, who's definitely one of my favorite players, and just seeing them pound the ball with LeGarrette Blount like that, it's just, a totally different aspect of the team, and it's going back to the days of when they were winning Super Bowls with guys like Corey Dillon and Antoine Smith in the backfield, not the big names, but guys you just give the ball to and they can just power the ball in the end zone.
Yeah, I like the Patriots in this game, too, and I think they have a better all-around team. I mean, both teams are kind of banged up, but I hate the Broncos' defense.
Mm-hmm. No Von Miller.
I mean, Manning has more weapons at his disposal than Brady in terms of the passing game, but, then you take into the cold weather, you take into the fact that I trust Brady more than Manning in these spots, and I think the Patriots will win, so I'm with you. Let's get to the Northwood Seahawks. That's why we're here at the Northwood Report. Men's basketball. Last couple of games, the Seahawks, especially at home, have taken care of business. Nice blowout victory over Florida Memorial, or FLOMO, as you guys call them. And they're 14-3, and although they are not ranked as high as they were at the start of the year, they were number 5 in the NAI poll. They keep climbing back up, all the way up to number 8.
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times that I know the coaching staff is they're happy with what they've seen so far, and for the Seahawks now get back into the top 10 nationally. They're 14-3 on the season, 5-1 in the Sun Conference. That's big for them because being in that top 10 moving forward, you have some certain pieces shake out the way they do. You also have Embry-Riddle in front of you. Again, we're playing them at Embry-Riddle January 29th, so that's a big game coming up. So certain teams can fall coming up here. Seahawks could easily find themselves in the top 5 and maybe make their way back into that top 3.
We're going to talk about Chris Solomon a little later on in the podcast because I caught up with Chris Solomon earlier this week on the show that I host, ESPN West Palm Tonight. It is weeknight 6 to 7. Definitely a good listen, if I may say so myself.
Congratulations on the new show.
I appreciate it. So we're going to play back that interview. But let's look at a couple of other guys on this team, and specifically in the front court. Fred Madison, who has now had 11 consecutive games in double-figure scoring, and a guy that seems to be, maybe outside of Solomon, the most automatic scorer when he's on, Chris Lee. What do these two guys bring to the overall fabric of Rolly Massimino's team?
Yeah, their growth from the beginning of the season has just been tremendous. Fred now is averaging 13.8 points a game and 8.3 rebounds, ranking 3rd in the Sun Conference. And he's just been really one of those enforcers on the glass, really, especially on the offensive end, keeping those possessions for Northwood. Maybe someone's not making a jumper. Fred's on the glass trying to keep those possessions, get those second chance points. He's done a great job. And then as a freshman, Chris Lee's really stepped up. He's nearing a double-double. He's at 9.8 points a game, 7.4 rebounds. But what I like about him is one of these things as a Celtics fan, he has that KG jumper. If you've seen it where he gets to the elbow and just buries it, it's automatic, and I call it the KG jumper. And he's pretty much, perfected that this season. He's in the gym working on it a lot. And, you get to see him just make a lot of those jumpers from the outside where you'd kind of expect him to enforce his way into the paint. He's really showing some finesse from outside.
Now, the way it works, though, of course, with Northwood is how do they measure up with Embry-Riddle? And the Seahawks lost by 2 in the game at home. They play again in early February. Got a couple other big games. Got one at home coming up on Wednesday against St. Thomas. How would you stack these two teams up right now?
Right now, especially when you're looking at Embry-Riddle, the last game, it was early in the Seahawks season, so they're still kind of finding that rhythm, which we've seen them kind of get into here lately. And that was only a 2-point win from Embry-Riddle on a last-second 3 by DeForest Carter, who's done that now back-to-back games in the Coniston-Hornley Student Life Center. Last time in the regular season, then before that he did it in the Sun Conference Championship game in to send it to double overtime. So he's really been a killer for him, so you got to look to the Seahawks to kind of key in on him. But matchup-wise, you're looking at, I think the Seahawks have a little bit more size as far as the guards, where Embry-Riddle they have Cesar Pastrana, who's their center, a big man inside. So he'll have kind of the advantage in the paint, but if you look at Chris Lee and Fred Madison, the way they've been playing, along with guys like Stephon Smith and Jake Lockhart, together they can try to key in on Pastrana and really limit him and his game and effectiveness. And we saw that in the last game. He really didn't have that great of a game, and Embry-Riddle had to kind of rely on a lot of other sources, one of which being DeForest Carter.
Jeremy Marks-Peltz, Chris Kendrick, Northwood Report here on ESPNWestPalm.com. So anything else men's hoop-wise, or should we talk about the lady Seahawks?
Well, we're gonna talk a little bit about Solo. He had his piece coming up.
We'll get to Solo.
Right,
we're letting everybody wait a little while.
Yeah,
for
just
Solo.
let that simmer a little bit. And then we got the big game against St. Thomas this Wednesday coming up, the 22nd of January. That's a big-time game. St. Thomas, 22nd in the nation. Again, with Northwood and Embry-Riddle ranked in the top 25. Southeastern also is in the receiving votes category, pretty much 26th in the nation. So right now, those pretty much will shake up to be the top 4 teams in the Sun Conference tournament. So anytime you play one of those teams, you want to, see your opponent, try to, step up and play your best game, because you're going to see them in the playoffs. It's pretty much guaranteed at this point.
Yeah, no question about that. Now, the women's team, they also had a 30-point dismantling of Flomo this past Wednesday. It's nice, the double headers. You like to get a little women's basketball, then get a little men's basketball.
Yeah, nice little Saturday. You come on in for the early game, and then you stay for the men's game.
Yeah, you don't have football to contend with now, so no excuses.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's true. But the women's team's 8-8 right now. But how about the fact that the overall record looks a little pedestrian, but 5-1 inside the Sun Conference under Courtney McDaniel, and then Dante Calabria on that coaching staff as well.
Yeah, the Lady Seahawks really have kind of hit a groove here. Like you said, are doing well in conference. They're on a 5-game win streak, second in the Sun Conference standings right now, and they've pretty much had everyone chipping in lately. It hasn't been the Charnel Brown show, which kind of was earlier in the season just because she was one of those returning players, and you had a lot of new pieces around her where she kind of had to do a lot of the scoring, but she earned Sun Conference Player of the Week for her efforts last week, had a pair of double-doubles. She now has 17.4 points a game, is 4th in the Sun Conference, along with 7.2 rebounds, which is 6th. So she's showing her versatility on both sides. She scored double figures in 15 of the 16 games. So she's definitely been that offensive catalyst for the Seahawks. But now you see Atavia Blake stepping in. She's got 11.2 points a game and 6.4 rebounds. But she's had 17-plus points in 4 of the last 5 games. So she's kind of finding her place in the offense. And then you have Dana Gilday, who's come in at the second half of the season. In her last 6 games, she's put in double figures in 4 of those 6, including a record 35 against Olivet Nazarene in a shootout that game. You missed that one, Jeremy. It was 124 to 116 women's basketball.
I heard about it. That's insane.
That was really testing my SID skills that day. But it's a fun one. It was definitely the highest scoring women's basketball game I had seen. And I guess they hung 148 on Madonna earlier in the year. Olivet Nazarene did. So they're a high-power offense. So it was good to see the Lady Seahawks hang in a game like that, because normally in the Sun Conference it's 70s, 80-point games. So to see the offense be able to put up 116, have to be confident in all your scoring sources.
Now, just if you haven't been to a Northwood game, and if you have been to a Northwood game, you see Chris Kendrick in action. But if you haven't been, He's sitting on one side of the court. He's printing up box scores. He's during the timeouts running them over to the coaching staff. Maybe if we're lucky, we get some at the broadcast location. How many box scores did you print out in that 124-116 game?
I was printing out a lot. I actually had to print out an extra one for the ref. He asked me for one because he said that's the highest scoring game he's ever been a part of and wanted to frame it and put it on his wall.
Okay. I was going to ask
but,
why the ref wanted one.
Yeah, normally it's at media timeouts. I print out boxes, give them to the teams. That way they can make sure their stats are accurate. And then I give one to you guys at the booth, too, so you can stay up to date. But normally you just got the computer going with the live stats, so you don't really need it. But, I'm just always kind of busy updating Twitter, all that kind of stuff. It's, busy during events for me.
Spring sports coming up right around the corner. Fill everybody in, baseball, softball, tennis, what everyone needs to know about Northwood spring sports.
All right, let's rattle it all off. First, track and field is competing in their inaugural event today, Jimmy Carnes Indoor Classic up in Gainesville. So historic day today for Northwood University having track and field compete in their first program. So I know Kent Baker and his staff are excited about that and the future of the program here at Northwood. Next, we got baseball. The Sun Conference All-Star Game is this weekend in in Babson Park at Weber University. Northwood will have 6 Seahawks playing in the game. All of them are seniors. You got Anthony Sablano, pitcher. Catcher Angel Garcia, first baseman Chris Fahey, third baseman Noel Garcia, utility man Randolph Ham, and outfielder Kurt Hilgenberg, who's also the captain of the Seahawks. So they're going to go show off a little bit at the All-Star Game in front of some scouts and then get ready as the Seahawks will open the season Friday, January 31st at Northwood against Clearwater Christian. That'll be a great game. Like we've talked about, this is a senior-laden squad, Jeremy, and, they're excited to make some noise in the conference this year. Next, we got softball. Their home opener is going to be Thursday, January 30th against Taylor University. It's going to be an early game, 9 o'clock in the morning, so if you feel up and early to watch a little softball, come over to Northwood. They're going to be playing. And then finally we got tennis kicking off here. The national rank should be out soon, but both teams were very successful last year. The women's squad advanced to the NAIA quarterfinals. They're returning Justina Wojcik and Adelaide Wood, who were All-Americans last year. They're opening at Southeastern on February 8th. Then you have the men's team who also advanced to the NAIA tournament. They're returning Alvaro Iturriaga, who's also an All-American, and they're going to be opening up the season at Palm Beach Atlantic. So that's pretty much all for the spring sports there, Jeremy. And, it's going to be hitting a crossover point here soon, so the days are going to get busier for me.
Yeah, absolutely, because you run the show for all of them.
All of them, every single one.
All right, coming up next, you will hear from the Northwood player that had the most successful game in school history. We will have that for you straight ahead here in the Northwood Report. All right, welcome back to the Northwood Report. Jeremy Marks-Peltz, Chris Kendrick, and Chris Kendrick will rejoin me in a couple minutes. But earlier this week, got a chance to catch up with Chris Solomon right after he poured in a 40-point game against Thomas, Georgia, which broke the school record. Here's my conversation earlier this week, ESPN West Palm Tonight, with Northwood's Chris Solomon. 40-point game, Chris. What's it like being in the zone where you can score that many points?
It's a great feeling. I was just glad my teammates kept getting me the ball and coach was setting up plays for me down the stretch.
And was there a point where you felt like you couldn't miss?
Yeah, definitely. It was a point where everything I shot was just seemed to go in.
Yeah, and it certainly seemed like that, watching the game. Chris Solomon joining us in the Metro PCS hotline has school record 40 points for Northwood last time out and a victory over Thomas, Georgia. And the Seahawks play tomorrow night, their next game against Florida Memorial. We'll have the call for you beginning at 7 on ESPNWestPalm.com. Now, I understand talking to you after the game, Solo, that 40 points is not your career high in terms of organized basketball.
No, it's not. The most points I ever scored was 46 in high school, and I scored 40 a couple times in high school, junior college. So, it's happened more than once.
So I'll ask you this in the most humble way possible. Do you feel like the sky's the limit, and that you could get even more than 40 in a game if the opportunity presented itself?
Yeah, if the opportunity presents itself, I just want to win. If it's there, it's there. I just want to get the W's.
Sure thing. Now, do you get recognized on campus more when something like this happens? Do you become, the most popular person on campus, or has it been business as usual the last few days?
Nah, I'm not too much on campus, man. I'm usually in the gym or in class.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Chris Solomon on the Metro PCS hotline. Let's just talk about the season. What's the best part about being at Northwood and playing in Palm Beach County?
The best part would be playing for Coach Mass. Come on now.
And what's the best part about playing with Coach Mass or playing for Coach Mass?
He inspires you. He makes you want to push that extra limit. When I first got here, I kind of took plays off. I'm still trying to get into that mode of just giving him my all 24/7. But just like seeing him run out on the court with us and just giving it his all just makes you want to do the same.
Is it inspirational for a guy who, he's almost 80 years old. He's an absolute coaching legend, just got inducted to the College Basketball Hall of Fame, and he's out there basically running the practices. His assistants do a great job, but he's out there running the practices. So you see that, and that inspires you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely makes me want to work harder. I listen to him a lot. I ask him questions, and we work out a lot. He's there for me, and I take what he says to, what's the word I'm looking for?
To heart?
Yes, exactly.
And has there been any, non-basketball kind of life advice that sticks out that Coach Mass has given you?
Oh, yeah. It's not just all basketball. We talk about life in general.
Right. Wrapping it up here with Chris Solomon. Northwood scored 40 points, a school record, on Saturday at Massimino Court in West Palm Beach. What is your personal goal for the rest of the year, and what's the goal for the team the rest of the year?
My personal goal is to beat Embry-Riddle and win a national championship.
All right, so good stuff there from Solo. And, Chris, first off, quick thoughts. Watching Chris Solomon, have you ever seen a more individually dominant game than what Solo did?
Well, clearly not on the Northwood court with him setting the school record there with 40 points. But, we've done it a few times comparing him to Rashad James. And, we saw Rashad be able to take games over like that last year. And now he finds himself as a player in the NBA D-League with the Reno Bighorns. And, he ended up winning the NEI Player of the Year. So we talked about Solo kind of getting into that mold, and we saw him now break Rashad's record of 39 points with that 40-point effort against Thomas. He broke the school record with 10 3-pointers against Ave Maria. And, now he's got 22 points a game, almost 23, second in the conference in points, second in the conference in three-point shooting, hitting 43.4%. And looking over his stats already on the season, he's got 412 points, and probably in about 2 more games he's going to enter the top 10 in single season scoring. And then he's already 6th in three-pointers made in a single season, and he only needs 92 total to break John Dunn's record. He's already got 65. So that should be something that maybe is in his sights as well. But now it's pretty much seeing Solo hit his peak. It's now, can he be consistent in his play and, maintain that ability? Because we've seen him kind of disappear a couple of games and then have huge games. So now it's just maintaining that consistency and, keeping the offense gelling and not feeling like he needs to hunt shots all game.
Yeah, and as the coaching staff has said to us, we're not running every play for Chris Solomon. There are games where he gets on fire, and then they'll start feeding him the ball, and they'll feed him the ball in his spots, but they're not going to force-feed him the ball, so that's important. All right, we are heading out of here shortly in the Northwood Report, but before we do that, it is the plug sheet. How everybody can stay plugged in on Northwood Sports.
Yeah, I know. We go over a lot of stuff here, so we want to put a nice little bow on it here with the plug sheet. So men's and women's basketball, like we mentioned, they're double headers this year, so they're going to be playing St. Thomas Wednesday, January 22nd. That's a big game for both teams. St. Thomas women's team is undefeated and ahead of the Seahawks in the Sun Conference standings, so that'll be a big game for the women. Also a big game for the men. That's January 22nd. Women tip-off at 5, men are at 7. After that, the next home game won't be till February 1st, Saturday afternoon against Johnson & Wales, a.k.a. JWU. They're doubleheader at 1 and 3 o'clock on Saturday, February 1st. That'll be the next time the Seahawks are at home. But in the meantime, they're facing that dreaded Embry-Riddle squad, number 1 in the nation, for 4 straight weeks, Wednesday, January 29th at 7 p.m. So that's a big-time game. I don't know if you guys are planning on going up there. I'll be up there taking some pictures. I'll make sure to keep you guys updated if you aren't.
We'll talk to the powers to be about that.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. And then, again, baseball season opener against Clearwater Christian, Friday, January 31st at 2:30 p.m. Softball season opener against Taylor University, Thursday, January 30th at 9 a.m. Men's tennis opener against PBA, Wednesday, February 5th at 5 p.m. women's tennis season opener against Southeastern, also a conference match. So the ladies Seahawks are going to start open the season with conference games Saturday, February 8th at 1. And like we mentioned, historical day here at track and field, playing in their inaugural event at the Jimmy Carnes Indoor. And, of course, men's and women's golf. Men's golf checked in at 14th in the preseason poll. They're opening at the SCAD Invitational Monday, February 3rd. And women's golf was 7th nationally in the preseason poll. They're opening at the Flagler World Golf Invitational Sunday, February 9th. And, of course, you can stay up to date with all your Northwood Seahawks information by visiting the Northwood Seahawks official athletic website at seahawks.gonorthwood.com. On Facebook.com, you can search for Northwood University Seahawks, or Facebook.com/NU Seahawks. On Twitter, @NU Seahawks, and on YouTube, NU Seahawks. And, of course, you got to check out JMP's new show on every weekday night from 6 to 7 p.m. on ESPN 106.3, and you can follow me on Twitter @CKendrick86. And that's done for the plug list.
Yeah, that's a hefty plug list. I'll add my Twitter account too @JMP1063. So for Chris Kendrick, I'm Jeremy Marks-Peltz. Another edition of the Northwood Report in the books. Go Seahawks, and for purposes of this weekend,
go Patriots, of course, always.